Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to today's session. Today we'll be talking about organization and presentation of data. Today we are going to learn all about how to organize and present data, a very important step before analyzing any data in statistics. So the key objective is arranging data in order, expecting that at the end of this session you should be able to arrange data in order, either in ascending or descending order. Prepare frequency distribution tables for ungrouped and grouped data. You should be able to use pictographs or ideographs to represent data visually, and understand key properties of frequency tables like class intervals and real limits. All right, let's go straight to it. Imagine you collected test scores from a class. Now, the scores might look jumbled at first, making it hard to analyze. One of the first steps is to organize or sequence the data, arranging the scores either from the lowest to the highest, or which represents ascending order, or from the highest to the lowest, which represents the descending order of such data set. Now, for example, take a look at this data set. You can see it's a score for 30 students. The numbers are all jumbled up. They can be neatly arranged in ascending order like this. Take a look at this. Now, sequencing helps you quickly identify the lowest scores, the highest scores, and trends within that scores. That's trends like the most frequent scores among all the scores, because you see them being sorted out. Like you see the first now, 2, you have 2 appearing twice, 3 appearing 3 times, and so on and so forth. So in cases where sequencing can be tricky, when the data set is quite large. So to sequence it yourself manually can be really very hard. So you just imagine when you have hundreds of scores, sequencing can be really hard. But this is where frequency table comes in handy. A frequency table groups data into scores, or arranges them, or like we say, group them into scores or ranges, and shows how often each value occurs. And we call that frequency. There are ungrouped data tables where individual scores are listed with their frequencies, and grouped data table where scores are grouped within interval or class intervals like 50 to 54, 55 to 59, 60 to 64, 65 to 69, 70 to 74, 75 to 79, and so on and so forth. Okay, that is what we call grouping. We group them, grouped data on the table, class intervals 50 to 54. That's it. Now, how to make a frequency table? How do we really make a frequency table? To prepare a grouped frequency table, just follow these simple steps. Just follow these simple steps and you are good. Number one, find the range. How do you really find the range? So they subtract the lowest score from the highest score. Take a look at the data we have presented earlier. Just subtract the lowest from the highest, and you'll find the range. Number two, choose the number of group, that is the number of group, the classes. Usually it can be between 5 and 20, depending on your data size. Then three, calculate the class interval, which is just divide the range by the number of classes and round to the convenient numbers like 2, 3, 5, 10, as the case may be. Then the fourth step is group the data accordingly and count the frequencies in each group. And then you are good to go. That is simply how a frequency table is drawn. Now, a composite frequency table. Let's talk about that. A frequency table can be extended to a composite frequency table by adding extra columns for one, relative frequency. Now, relative frequency, the fractions or proportion of total frequency for each class is what we refer to as the relative frequency. You also add another column called cumulative frequency. Cumulative frequency is the total number of observations up to the upper limit of a class. The total number of observation up to the upper limit of a class. And then the third column is cumulative percentage, which is the percentage of scores below the upper limit of each class. These extras helps us to quickly understand the distribution and patterns in the data. All right, now let's talk about visual representations, which could be in ideographs or pictographs. Data can also be presented visually using ideographs or pictographs, where pictures or icons represent numerical values. For instance, if one icon represents 1 million people, we can show the populations of different towns by placing the appropriate number of icons next to each town's name, indicating the number. All right, this gives an immediate visual sense of differences between the different groups. Now, in summary, today we have talked about the concept sequencing, and we actually showed how it's done. Sequencing simply means to arrange raw data in order for easy analysis. We also talked about frequency tables, and frequency tables, we said, makes large data set simpler by grouping data into values or intervals. We talked about composite frequency table, and we said composite frequency table adds depth with relative and cumulative frequencies. We also talked about pictographs and ideographs, and we said that pictographs and ideographs provide a visual way to understand data. These techniques, so explained, are essential foundations for all data analysis. All right, thank you for watching today's teaching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more easy to use statistical tutorials. If you have a question or you have an example with your data you want us to really work around, drop it at the comment section and we'll do justice to it. Thank you and bye-bye.